was the big talk of today was this Mercedes pursuit, if you like, of Max Verstappen. It's came back again. I can remember talking about this at the Austrian GP last year, and it's came back around again. Toto Wolff directly in contact with Max Verstappen and his representatives, with the contract situation with George Russell still looming heavily over their heads of just delaying it, really. They're saying they're not delaying it, but they are, really. They're not signing the dotted line just yet because they are going after Verstappen. And Toto Wolff even came out today saying that it could be a Russell-Verstappen lineup for next season. What do you make of all that situation, Patrick? And also, if Toto Wolff's saying that, obviously he could be quite flippant in saying that. He might not exactly mean it how he says it. But what would happen to Antonelli? I mean, that would be a very strange one. But on the first one there, what do you make of the whole situation?
I mean, the rumor mill has been flying around too. I've even seen rumors of Charles Leclerc heading to Mercedes. I think Mercedes is really just exploring their opportunities at the moment, just seeing like who's on the market and who's willing to maybe jump ship. Mercedes has been on an upward trend for the last few seasons. They started out this regulation cycle in 2022 with a borderline abysmal car. And then 2023 wasn't really much better. 2024 was a good step in the right direction. And 2025 has definitely been the best season of this regulation cycle. But I think they're trying to get back to how it was, because Mercedes, as you know, had 8 constructors titles back to back to back to back. Eight constructors titles in a row. And they obviously want to get back to winning ways. And there's a lot of talk about the Mercedes power unit being the best power unit for the new regulation cycle. And so I think Mercedes in general are just trying to keep their eyes open. But I would be very surprised if they actually dropped Antonelli, because they put in so much money. I mean, if they wanted to keep Antonelli on the back burner, I feel like they would have sent him to Williams or one of their other customer teams for a bit, with Williams being the likely pick.
Well, I've heard talk as well that they apparently could put Antonelli out on loan. But the question is, Patrick, where would he go on loan? That's what I don't understand with this one. You know, Williams have Sainz and Albon. That's not going to change. Aston Martin are going with Honda engines, so they're not even going to be under that Mercedes wing. I mean, the only one you could maybe say would be Alpine, I guess, because they're going to take up Mercedes engines soon. And I mean, they've almost got an even worse driver saga going on over there. So surely, Patrick, the right thing here is just quit the talk, get the contract signed. You've got a settled team there. I mean, I'm not trying not to go on a rant here, but Russell he's entering his prime almost at the minute. He is performing so well, done so well this season. He's still got plenty of years left. And Antonelli, you know, is like you say, he needs to be there. He's got the future. He's going to be the next star. Do they need Verstappen? I mean, as crazy as that sounds, I know Max is the best, arguably, on the grid, but do they need a Verstappen in that team, Patrick?
I mean, I think back in the day, before he became a Red Bull driver, Verstappen does have Mercedes history. He was a Mercedes junior, I believe, but they just couldn't give him a seat in time. So Red Bull snatched him up, and then we all know the rest is history. So, I mean, I guess it might be a bit of seller's remorse from Toto Wolff, maybe wanting to get back his lead junior driver, potentially. But, I mean, here's another side of the coin, too, that we haven't really mentioned yet. If they do decide to go with Verstappen, there's a chance that they could keep Antonelli, and then Russell is out of a seat. Which, totally. Russell is basically Mr. Mercedes right now. So, I mean, I know there's that picture of him talking with Flavio Briatore at Alpine, but I mean, Alpine's a mess right now, and I can't really see anybody really wanting to go to Alpine.
No, and you're right. The more likely, I think, scenario is that it would be Verstappen in for Russell. I think Mercedes would be a bit crazy if they did kind of suddenly get Antonelli out the seat. But they'd be equally crazy in my eyes if they got rid of George, because you're right, he is Mr. Mercedes. He's been there throughout his career since the F2 days, been under that Mercedes wing, since F3 even, I'm pretty sure. And he was patient himself when he was in the Williams. He was ready to get in that Mercedes. from when he did that secure race in 2020, filling in for Hamilton. He was ready right back from then. And then now, he's got to win this season and he's leading the team. And I think he's doing a good job leading the team. But then there's all of a sudden now this strange thing of, well, actually, we might not keep him. We'll get Verstappen. And Verstappen is great, as that's stating the obvious. But I don't know. I'm not convinced. You put Verstappen in that Mercedes, he's going to wipe the floor clean like he does at Red Bull. For a kickoff, Antonelli's not a bad driver himself, but I think that Red Bull, Patrick, is absolutely tailor-made for Verstappen. In some eyes, Verstappen should maybe almost just... Why would you leave Red Bull? That team is absolutely behind you. Not saying that Mercedes wouldn't be, but the car and everything, they literally sacrificed the second driver at Red Bull just for Verstappen in terms of the design of it. And I do feel quite strongly on this that I think Russell is getting a bit disrespected here. I don't know. Do you agree with that kind of statement?
I mean, especially considering that Russell's been basically carrying that Mercedes team since Hamilton left. And here's another thing, too, we got to think about. Hamilton, he's been a bit on the struggle bus when he switched to Ferrari. He's been with Mercedes for so many years that when you're with a team for many years, I mean, it doesn't even matter. It's not even just a Formula One thing. It's any sport. It could be football. It could be baseball. It could be any sport out there. But when you switch to a new team after being on one team for so long, there's going to be an adjustment period. So even with Hamilton being considered the greatest of all time and Verstappen also being considered one of the greatest of all time, I mean, jumping from a team that you've been with for a decade at this point that has basically been behind you, sacrificed a second driver for you to do good in that car, and then just go to a completely different team that operates in a completely different manner. I just don't think it's the right call for Verstappen or Russell, honestly.
No. I couldn't agree anymore, Patrick. I think it's bad for all parties, and just total wolf, behave yourself. Just do the right thing here, and just stick with what you've got, because the Mercedes have got a great lineup. They've got a great young lineup that is just almost reaching that kind of good balance where you've got a driver that isn't quite there yet with Kimi, but he will be. He will get there. But George is here and now right up there at the top end of the drivers that you can actually get. He's Ferrari's Leclerc, Red Bull's Verstappen. They need to just think about this. I mean, it's not affecting George's form, which is one thing you could say that it could have. It could have gotten in his head a little bit, but it's not. And we'll see how this one develops. If you were to put your money on this, Patrick, what do you think that Mercedes 2026 lineup is looking like?
I think they're going to keep the same lineup of Antonelli, Russell. I mean, that's just the smartest decision. Because I think Antonelli already has a multi-year contract, which once again, multi-year contracts don't really mean much in modern F1, but I think just consistency is what most, if not every team needs going into this new regulation cycle, because there's already so much changing with the new chassis, the new engines, the new tires, and then throwing especially the top tier team like Mercedes. I mean, just changing something that drastic. I mean, I just don't see it happening, because even then, where would Russell go? Because surely they wouldn't put Russell at Red Bull, especially with the form Isaac Hadjar's been on, but that's a topic for later. I think it's going to be Russell and Antonelli.
Yeah, I agree. I can't, as well, what you're saying there, I can't see Russell going to a Red Bull, or the only kind of thing I could really see, and this is a stretch, is a Russell kind of going to Aston Martin or something if they finally convince Stroll to move out the door. But I think Mercedes should just keep their lineup, and I think that will happen, like you say, Patrick.